This is the Sony FX3 and it's truly my personal favorite camera. Is it perfect? No. No camera is, and honestly, neither you nor I could afford the perfect camera. This camera has been the one constant in my life since 2021. Technically earlier than that, back in 2020 when the A7S III originally released. Back then and to this day, this camera remains so versatile and essential to my workflow. If I could, I'd put it in the Hall of Fame for cameras. I'm not gonna get too technical in this video as that's not what I'm here to share about, but more so how this camera fits into my life and my workflow as a filmmaker. So like I said a moment ago, I started off with the A7S III and the image that's produced off of that sensor honestly just changed the game for me. It's like the first time you switch from a Canon T2i to an actual cinema camera. I've owned cinema cameras before, so I know what I was still missing out on, but the color and the dynamic range were so outstanding and in my opinion, the start of the revolution of image quality that comes from every mirrorless camera today. My filmmaking background consists of a countless variety of cameras, but as I've grown and shifted into also creating content here on YouTube, I wanted to try and find a camera that can serve me on both ends of this creative medium. The versatility in lenses I can adapt to this camera allows me to use my favorite vintage and cinema lenses. The form factor, along with a nice minimal cage, makes it easy to rig up for a variety of situations. I've worked and continue to work on a variety of jobs where this camera serves as my A to C cam, as well as getting me hired onto jobs for simply owning this camera. This camera is truly perfect for any situation. If you're a solo guerrilla style filmmaker working on set or in a broadcast situation, this camera can get the job done. What settled this specific camera in as my number one is the firmware updates. Initially, I was bummed that this was called a cinema camera yet lacked cinema-like features. It still does lack a few, but one major update was the implementation of internal LUTs. Being able to load in whatever LUT you want allows me to mitigate having to use an external monitor in a lot of my workflows, especially for broadcast situations where I need to match this camera with a variety of different cameras in any given setting. It also creates a workflow speed boost in that I can shoot with a LUT burned into the footage and skip the color grading process. But to be honest, I don't like shooting like that because I personally love to color grade. The preamps, the XLR handle, the small form factor of this camera, and being able to rig it out or strip it down to a minimal setup is why I love this camera and can honestly just never get rid of it. I personally love this camera and I don't want to gear talk down to death because at the end of the day, it's not the gear that matters. It's the story you're telling, it's what you're putting together and what you're trying to communicate to either yourself or an audience. And I'm not negating any other camera that's out there as they're all truly great these days and you honestly can't go wrong with anything you choose. So don't let my opinion sway yours, but seek out what tool works best for you and your creative workflow.